So what's on your mind?
Balloons are the only thing on my mind this entire week.
Balloons?
Balloonery, buffoonery. Yeah, I don't understand. Like we keep shooting down these. All of a sudden, balloons are a thing, which is fine with me because I have my whole life I have hated balloons. I've never understood the appeal. I like a good Thanksgiving Day parade float, but I don't like a balloon, like a Mylar balloon or a helium. I don't like any of those balloons. And I'm just sort of obsessed that I keep getting these alerts on my phone that we've shot down another balloon. And I love that the balloon is now a symbol of international
like espionage.
Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And I think I hope now we have license to shoot down any balloon we ever see for
like a hot air balloon's coming through and you're just like missiling it out of the sky.
I would literally love to see an F-16 attack a gender reveal. That is my fantasy. Get rid of them altogether. But they're so silly. Balloons are so... They're awful to fill up. They're impossible to transport. Like when someone comes into my subway car and they have balloons, I get out and I go to the next car.
Like, I can't do this.
I don't want to be involved with balloons or anyone who's transporting them publicly. Hot air balloons as well. I don't. First of all, hot air balloon. I can't even imagine. It's a form of transportation that's fabric with a flame in the middle of it. Oh, and here's a better idea: crawl in the wicker that's dangling from that.
And we don't know where we're gonna land. Like we're gonna go somewhere, but we don't know where yet. Like, just get on and we're gonna find out.
No. Anytime I'm on the internet and I hear, oh, there was a hot air balloon accident or a hot air balloon tragedy,
you're like,
I always think, what did you expect? Like, how does that not happen more often than everyone is saying?
No, it really is like one of those things where people, and then like you ask someone like, oh, like where do we land? And the person like operating, and I was like, I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you go in knowing that like you have no control over what's about to happen. And yet people are like, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible. Hot air balloons should be reserved for like the very beautiful cover of a pamphlet about menopause, but as a form of transportation, what a stupid idea.
Wait, but back to these balloons, but apparently there's been like 30 of them in the past like 2 like administrations, and we just never heard about it until now.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I just didn't know that anyone was flying them for any reason. I've heard of a weather balloon, but there's never been one in the news.
And do we know like what the point? It's like literally to spy on us. Like it's literally like
no one knows anything. I mean, literally, we just keep saying that we're shooting down a balloon every day. I rode speaking of balloons, I rode in the Goodyear blimp once. It was
really?
For a shoot. I was working on The Bachelor, and part of the date was he was taking her in the Goodyear blimp because, nothing says romance like a tire company. So we went into I didn't know the whole time that I was going to have to go in there as well, but I was the producer that then had to go in. So I felt the way I did about balloons already. And now I was going into a balloon with a motor attached to it. Also sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But when you get on the Goodyear blimp, because it's so small, you cannot climb the little ladder to get into it. They give you a scale and you have to weigh yourself before you get in. So it already starts off with a very how
shaming.
Dare you
moment.
So not only do I have to do this thing, which I morally object to crawling inside a balloon, but now you're going to announce my weight to everyone.
And possibly
terrible.
Deny you based on your weight.
Can you imagine?
Anything I need to it's like you have to be under a weight limit to do is something I don't want to do. So in theory, if I was a little bit heavier, like this could like just malfunction and like explode. No, thank you.
Right. I feel like I know. I feel like I've had that moment for height and weight my entire life. Like when I watch my 600-pound life
like
and they
go
back
as well.
I am literally. I'm like a barrel. I'm shaped as a barrel, like the same height and weight. No, it's the truth. That's my figure.
A barrel.
But literally when on my 600-pound life, when they all go back to the office and have to reweigh themselves, and there's the 5 seconds of anticipation before the number flies up. Yeah, I always feel for them when they're on a scale. And I always go back to that moment when I was looking at the numbers before getting on the Goodyear blimp. And I thought to myself, am I about to be humiliated, not just in front of people I know, but in front of people I work with? And someone's going to look at my boss and say, your employee is too overweight to shoot this scene.
And also like we need to bring someone else in to do this job because like you're too fat. Like basically is what they would say to you. Like, right? Like not to body shame you, but that's like you're too fat to do this job.
What was the last show you worked on? The Bachelor. Oh, and what was the reason you left? Because of my weight.
Because I was too fat to get on the
I was too fat to work on The Bachelor.
So
fat people are not allowed on the show or to work on
or in the show.
Well. Mm-hmm.
All right, today's client is MTV, and we have the one, the only Miss Kate Casey, podcast extraordinaire, very good friend, loyal friend, and great person. And if you want to ever hear any podcast about like a show and you're like, I wish I could listen to like how the executive producer came up with the idea for the show, Kate is your girl. Google the show and Kate Casey. I promise you it is on there. There's not been a rock that you have not unturned. And so like, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And I salute you, both of you. And I'm happy to be here today.
Happy to have you. Really nice to meet you. And by the way, Chris, whenever he speaks about you, it is always that glowing, like literally.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Time. Yes.
I like that. I'll take it. I'm going to put that in my back pocket. I appreciate it.
And people that have listened to the first episode have heard this, but I literally thank you in the first episode because I'm like, you're the one that told me that I had this idea on your podcast to make this podcast. So,
well, I remember it. I was like, what are you doing? That's your show right there.
Yeah. And here we are.
And here we are.
All right. Let's dive into MTV. Okay. So I took a lot of this from Tomas Meyer's Rolling Stone article. Basically, recently, MTV brought RuPaul's Drag Race onto their channel from VH1 and condensed the smash hit show from 90 minutes to an hour in order to debut their new reality show, The Real Friends of WeHo. Drag Race has had a 90-minute run for the last 5 seasons, but viewers have noticed that the show has many things missing in this 60-minute format, including the very famous catchphrase, "Silence, bring back my girls." That was even cut from some of the episodes for time. One petition to extend Drag Race to its 90-minute format has received 35,000 signatures online, and the show's contestants have started to use the hashtag #BlameItOnTheEdit to explain why certain parts of the show and their performances fall flat. MTV recently announced that the show would return to 90-minute episodes after all 5 episodes of The Real Friends of WeHo have aired, but fans are not quick to forget of what MTV did. People are flipping out about this. Dom, I feel like you're one of them. You're a huge Drag Race fan.
Yes, it's a show made by queer people and featuring queer people that MTV has somehow made less queer. I don't even understand. They've like sucked out the drama. They've sucked out all the nuances that made you fall in love with the show for 15 years. And I feel like we knew it was coming. Like when the show went to VH1, I don't think anyone was like, oh, VH1's going to ruin the show. But when we found out 2 weeks before it was going to MTV that it was going to MTV, you know, we were all like, they're going to fuck it up. And they did. Really, quoting from Ru, she always says, don't fuck it up. They have definitely fucked it up beyond.
Well, and they're clearly scrambling to like, they're scrambling for something. What that is, we don't know. But like, they're clearly scrambling to try to get viewership back onto MTV, which they're not doing well. And I think that's like kind of the problem we're trying to solve here is like, how do we get them to get viewership back? And I don't know if that's me as a 32-year-old that grew up on MTV. I don't know if that's Gen Z people. I don't know what it is.
Well, first of all, it was a good idea to bring that show over there, but I think of MTV audience as quite young, so their job was to modernize the show and to make the people who already love it be just as excited about it. They're morons.
Like it's pretty bad. Like, and I don't watch it that much, but literally like one thing I do know is that in literally every episode when they're deliberating on who should be eliminated or who needs to lip sync for their life, she literally says every episode, "Silence, bring back my girls." The fact that that's cut from the show, it's like literally the catchphrase of the entire show. Am I wrong?
They've
Dom?
cut the deliberations are gone. Like you don't even really know what the the deeper critiques are from the other judges. And it was definitely an integral part of the charm of the show, because you could always you would always try to guess along with who was going to get eliminated. And that part of the show always helped you as a viewer feel like a part of the format. You know, like we would listen to the judges' critiques, and then during the commercial break or whatever is when you look at whoever's on the bar stool next to you and just start screaming about who deserved to go. And that part's gone now. It's gone.
So what? Okay, I don't really watch MTV anymore. Like, do we know what the shows are that are on MTV?
Well, they've got Siesta Key. They've been running that for a long time. And then they have that weird show. Now I'm forgetting the name of it because I don't care enough about it to even pay attention to the name. It's that Rob Dyrdek show.
Ridiculousness.
Ridiculousness.
I feel like it's the only show on MTV.
That's all that airs. That's all that airs on that show. When
that's
I noticed,
not even a joke, right? Like there are
no, that's not a joke.
That is the only program
show
that airs on the network.
Yeah.
In the glory days of MTV, you would turn it on and you would have a ton of music videos. And sometimes you get annoyed because it would be the same music videos all the time. But it was, of course, like the top, top 8 videos or something. Then they started to incorporate some shows, and it made that channel so much fun because you had the music element, and then you had like MTV News with Kurt Loder. So you'd have like, a Whitney Houston video, but then you'd have Kurt Loder, who's like this esteemed journalist. And then they started to infuse other categories, like they had MTV Sports, and then they had Real World. So I feel like they were hitting so many different marks and really engaging in that core audience, which I would say was like 18 to 32. And then something went off the rails, and they just, I think it was that ridiculousness show. I don't know what that guy did with MTV. He made a deal with the devil. He must be sleeping on piles of cash, but it's all the time. I don't know if they thought, well, the people that love the Real World have kind of aged out, so we need to have like skateboard shows because like that'll work for the audience. And it's so stupid. They had so many great ideas, and it would like, they would have a show for maybe like 2 seasons and then drop it off. Another show that was great, Sorority Life. They did it for 3 seasons. One was at UC Davis, one was at University of Buffalo, one was at USC. Oh my God, it was awesome because you're like privy to this world that like if you weren't in a sorority or a fraternity, you have no idea this weird Greek life, then they just drop it. I don't know if it was like one of those things where the schools were angry, but then if you're filming off campus, who cares? So it was just like stupid.
And like the premise isn't hard. Like film people at a sorority, like you're not like reinventing the wheel. Like it, but like it's compelling. Remember Fat Camp?
Fat Camp.
The best thing I've ever watched in my life.
But that's the thing. Like, I need to follow up. How are those people? What happened?
Where
are they? Hours.
Hours. I would watch them.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
True
Dom's
Life?
like, I'm the producer of Fat Camp. Like you were like, I was there.
I will pipe up the moment one of mine comes across. I will absolutely jump in.
What about True Life?
The best show they've ever done.
Okay. So there was this True Life episode, I'm Getting Married, and it was iconic. And I never say that word, and that's true. I almost never say that word. Iconic, because Charlie and Sabrina Baldacci get married on Staten Island, and it's the biggest shit show wedding in history. He's screaming in the street at one scene, and he's like, I will fucking gut you, to the limo driver. And you're like, oh shit, shit goes down in Staten Island. I was so obsessed with it, I tracked them down and I interviewed Charlie and Sabrina, and God rest his soul, he is now passed on. He just died like a year and a half ago. They stayed married and they had 2 boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's their follow-up?
Well, he's
That's
dead.
Crazy. That's crazy.
He's dead.
No, but yes, I know that. But I'm saying like they could have followed up with that. I would have loved to have seen them. Like,
first of all, she should have been on the Real Housewives of Staten Island or New Jersey,
or Mob Wives.
They would have been an amazing. That's see, Bravo, I think, is much better at that. Like, it's MTV just used somebody for a hot minute and then they dropped them from the world. They would have also had an audience age with them if they had continued to follow the Baldaccis. You know who followed the Baldaccis? Casey did.
Casey.
That's it. Okay, also, there's this one True Life episode. It was like True Life, I Have to Move. I still talk about it with my kids. So the episode was this girl, and she was just like a normal girl in, suburban Connecticut. And her dad was a doctor. And the whole beginning of the episode is like her saying goodbye to her friends. And she's like, I cannot believe that he's forcing me to move across the world for his job, because he was like a traveling doctor. And it was like the end of her world. She was like crying and sobbing and hugging the girls like, don't ever forget me. Don't you ever forget me. Okay, so she goes to Australia, and it's like wackadoo place. Like, it's in the shrubs. They have to wear these crazy hats because of the sun protection. By the end of the episode, she's crying her face off leaving Australia. She's like, or no, it was New Zealand. She was like, I don't want to leave. I love the people here. And I actually talk about that with my kids. I'm like, life is an adventure. You don't know what you're going to expect. Like, you can always come back to people. These were great shows. And my point, again, is like, you could have an audience age with it. You could replay those episodes. You could have people come back and watch it and then pass it on to the next generation. They're dumbasses.
Well, speaking of replaying, I think I'm ready. Like this, that leads right into my pitch if we're ready to get there. And Kate, as you know, you're going to be you're going to decide which pitch is the one that we pitched MTV in real life.
Okay.
So you're the tiebreaker basically.
Okay.
All right. MTV, you want viewership back. You're taking over good shows from other networks in your like universe in order to try to bring viewership to you. This is what you are going to do. You desperately want people like me, millennials that grew up on MTV, to come back and watch MTV. I have not even if they say this is the show that is made for you, I'm never going to turn on MTV to watch that show because I know that it's not made for me because I'm too old now. This is what you're going to do in order to get the millennials and then also to get the Gen Zs. This is what you're doing. You are going to bring back 5 shows. You are going to do new episodes of those 5 shows. They are True Life.
Agreed.
Made. Room Raiders, MTV Cribs, and Next. Next is like the crown jewel of all of these. That is what you're doing. You're bringing those 5 shows back. New things. They can be 19-year-old Gen Zers that have never been off their cell phone in the next bus altogether, having to have a conversation for the first time. I would watch that for 9 hours in a row. MTV Cribs, like, just bring the show back. Do you watch on Hulu ever? There's that Architectural Digest Open Doors, and it's like celebrities' house. Like, I watch that every time I know there's new ones of it. I immediately watch them. Show me it on MTV. I'm ready there. I'm already there. Room Raiders, we've done it before. It's easy. Just do it. It's all fake. We know. No one cares. It's hilarious. Made, great show. I want to be an influencer. I want to be a rapper. I want to be like a race car driver. Like all these kids that want to be these famous things. Made, hello, bring in celebrities to be their maid coaches. Like have Cardi B be your rap maid coach. And True Life, the best show that they've ever done. That's like in my opinion, one of the best unscripted television shows to ever exist. Bring those back with new episodes. And on the day that they air, you're running old True Lives all day. Like on the day that the new True Life is happening, you're running new True Lives or the old True Lives all day long. And then all the Gen Zers, you're somehow getting Gen Zers. You're going to them on TikTok and being like, I'll pay you money to like watch old episodes of True Life. Because guess what Gen Z is obsessed with right now? The 90s and early 2000s. They all are like obsessed with like what me growing up, like me as a child, like what I went through. They're like dressing as us and being like, did people do it like this? Like they're all about that. So showing them the shows that I watched as a kid being like, wow, this is the outside world. The Gen Zers it's going to be bananas on TikTok. They are going to be freaking out of being like, people did this before. Like, there's no iPhones on any of these shows. You had to like call someone on a house phone. They're going to be flipping the fuck out. Yes. They're going to be flipping out. They're going to be like, how did you, like, there was no Instagram. Like there was no social media. They're going to be flipping out about it. And then you're airing new episodes of those shows. That's 5 nights a week right there. Those 5 shows. Next with 19-year-olds today. Amazing.
Next was it was Live Grinder. It was
yes. Yes.
That's true.
That in itself, like the vibes are off. Like imagine the things they would say to each other when they would next each other. Hilarious. And then you're watching like a 2002 episode of Next where like, and we're like watching in horror because it's so bad and like so mean.
Right. So mean, and it just filmed weird.
I'm coming back to watch old episodes of True Life, Made, Room Raiders, MTV Cribs, and Next. I'm coming back to the channel to watch the old episodes, and new people are like getting to see the things that like that became like so iconic to us. And it's a whole wave of like, you can just recycle all of those shows that you've been doing forever and just run that instead of running ridiculousness 6 days a week.
But then also, could you do a True Life updates, like the guy that got the calf implants?
Sure.
Like, what happened? Did
Need
you
to
get
know.
them removed? Did you ever get like any other implants? What are your thoughts about the implant industry now? Whatever.
Yes, love that. I will, on my deathbed, think about the guy with the calf implants. I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
I rest my case. That's my pitch.
Okay.
All right. It's funny as you're bringing up all these shows. It's MTV was really in the 80s and 90s like a blueprint for so much programming that became popular elsewhere. And MTV is also sort of like SNL in the way that it's just a decades long of the same critique. Like, it sucks. It's not what it used to be. It sucks. And it started really when the Real World started, because that's when people started to say, oh, MTV is not showing music anymore. They should take the M out of MTV. But the Real World, while it wasn't the first, reality show ever, it was certainly the one that started what we now call reality television. Like, everything sort of, spun out of that. And then it did seem like MTV would be music no more until MTV returned to what it did best, as Kate referenced earlier, when TRL came onto MTV. That was the true golden era of MTV, because they were able to balance their burgeoning reality programming with unifying, all like music of all genres every afternoon on this show. It was literally where you would see Madonna and Ozzy Osbourne share Green Day. It was insane. And insane is the way. I had many friends that worked on TRL for a long time who have PTSD from it. Just from clogging Times Square every day with
and
fans.
all the kids outside who were like, oh my God!
Right, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Britney. Like, that was their era, and they came up because of TRL. It was definitely a mutually beneficial relationship between teen stars and that show then. I can't really pinpoint when it just started going downhill. I know that in my soul I want to blame Tila Tequila for all of it, but I cannot even make the connection. I am sure that it was her. It started with her.
I must not to defend Tila Tequila, but I must defend A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila, because I was in high school when that show came out and we were rabid for it. Like,
why?
Rabidly watching it. We loved it. We had no, we loved it. We loved it because we were the MySpace generation. Like, we were kids on MySpace, and she was like a MySpace queen.
Right.
Like,
that's
you know
how
what I mean?
She
and so
became well known. Right.
We loved that it was bisexual. Like, it was very groundbreaking at the time, I will say. But now she's like a Nazi, so that's sad.
Like a literal Nazi.
Like, literally a Nazi.
But I also think that something really interesting happened this past year. So Beyonce, this is not a tangent, I promise. Beyonce releases an album with no visuals. We have nothing to look at, which, I was a kid when MTV was born, and we instantly just started watching the music. It just came hand in hand. You rarely, even today, if you get a link for a new song, you go to YouTube to listen to it. Like, you still want to watch stars. You want to watch artists performing. But she released an album that is so widely and critically loved, and we had no visual reference for it except for her on a disco ball horse in a disco ball bikini, looking fierce, obviously, but that was all you needed, was just an image. And I was hopeful because we can actually appreciate music without having a visual accompany it. And I always feel like Beyonce is at the forefront of everything. So when she did that last summer, I just thought to myself, I think music videos might be over as a tool for
marketing.
anything, like
Mhm.
it's not, you don't need anything that's 4 minutes long to sell anything. You need
Mm-mm.
something that's 6 seconds. So
Right.
what should the network become now? A bunch of 6-second bullshit? No, we already have that on our phones.
Kate, you have a very funny thing you said to me on the phone the other day about the commercials on MTV. Why don't you tell me, like, what kind of viewership we're getting right now on MTV?
Correct. When something's going on in the world and you turn on whatever news channel that you choose, the commercials are usually life alert. There are people that are getting benches put in their showers, and you're like, got it. This is the audience. It's a lot of old people. When you watch MTV shows, I have noticed that every single commercial is for rehab centers. It's basically a call to action. It's like, do you or someone you know have an issue with crystal meth? And you're just like, damn, that is the audience. It's people on crystal meth.
Like on a bender, and they're just watching the same show over and over and over, and they don't even
Ridiculousness on a
realize because they
bender.
think that they're like,
Yeah, that's why they don't have a problem with it, because they're all in crystal meth, watching the same
Yeah.
episode of ridiculousness.
It's my dad. It's literally my dad. Mike, thank you for exploiting my dad's meth problem on episode 2. I appreciate it. Where do we go
I
from
can't
here?
believe he loves that show. That's so fascinating.
It's the worst show. It's so bad.
He will pause it and call people, and Barbara, come in here, look at this one, look at this one. She'll scream from upstairs, I hate that fucking show.
No, and guess what? The person falls. Like, you know what I mean? It's like not fucking rocket science.
And
like
that hideous hyena laughs at it with the same laugh at every clip.
And they don't even they're not even funny. Like the guests will come on and be like, hi. Like they're like,
there's somehow has to be a complete rebrand while also staying somewhat true to its roots. I love the idea of bringing back all those shows, but I wonder how many of them were part of the descent, as it were. Some of them are really good. Like True Life is an Emmy Award winning, like no bullshit stuff. Like Next, and I mean Cribs is great. I'm a personal fan of House of Style. That's one.
I know. I had that on my list too. House of Style. They absolutely should bring that back. Bring that back. Yep. With Kaya Gerber. Kaya Gerber is to host House of Style.
That's such a great idea. But under the guise of this should become, however they tie in with social media, because nothing can succeed without it anymore, obviously. But it should be a 24-hour, what they pretended to be before, they should actually be now, which is a 24-hour entertainment news source without repeating the same shit over and over. I mean, there's so much. When they did news, it was great. I mean, there are moments where, Kurt Cobain and Madonna are on stage or in an interview together, like Kurt Loder, an actual icon, interviewing all of these celebrities. Like, just bring it. So it's just a CNN for entertainment, which I'm not trying to mop part of your idea, Christopher, I promise.
No, but I like,
you could throw in those shows as specials, like the way CNN does, Stanley Tucci. You just make it I don't know what the M would stand for.
Well, and also like, why are they not taking these young artists that like could be elevated by MTV? Like you could get all of
I have an
young
idea.
viewership by like having these artists that are like up and coming young Gen Zers, like going on MTV and getting interviewed, and then kids are watching the interview on MTV.
Okay, I think that they could bridge the old MTV with the new by bringing back MTV Unplugged. And you could have rappers in the MTV Unplugged redo their songs in a different way, but make it like invitation to this event is so big. And it's like and maybe they air it live. I don't know if that's like a big gamble, but invitation to go to watch one of the biggest artists in right now and do an MTV Unplugged would be so good. I encourage anyone who's listening to go back. If they're like, I want to hear an example of what she's talking about, go listen to MTV Unplugged. Aha. That song is so popular right now with kids. Take On Me. You listen to the band redo it in like almost like a love ballad, like slower version, and it sounds completely different. It's almost like a completely different song. If you did that with like a hip hop artist with like a heavy metal, like different bands, but you make it like invitation only and then you air it. I just think that would be a great way to bring those two generations together.
I don't hate it.
No, I think it's a good idea.
I don't think you
honestly,
listen. I don't think you ever watched Unplugged. So you have to go back and watch it to see what I mean.
I remember it. The thing that gives me pause is like these new artists, like a lot of them don't know music well. So I feel like they're really going to be like, I have to do a different version of the song that someone else wrote for me.
No, I don't agree with you. No,
Oh,
I don't
really?
agree with you. I think there are some people that are highly, highly skilled, like really talented, and they don't get to showcase their artistry because they're put in a box.
Yeah.
Because of the packaging, the way music is now. And I think if you strip down all the technology that they use in songs, you would really get to see how beautiful someone's voice is and how talented they are.
Yeah, or not. Yeah, but yes, I agree with you. But then also, like, some of them are gonna be like, "Oh, I can never come on this show because I like can't sing live."
Sure.
Or show people doing duets too.
Yes,
like doing
love that.
Collaborations would be great too.
It would be great because anyone who turned down the invitation, you would know, didn't actually have the voice that was.
Yeah,
correct. Totally true.
There's a reason that back in the day there was not a Paula Abdul Unplugged because she needs to be plugged. And I love Paula. She's just not,
She needs to be plugged.
My other thought was, and I think this could be done pretty cheap. They had a show called College Life, which was really cool because it took like a bunch of freshmen at University of Wisconsin. And it was filmed off campus, but it was like they gave them the cameras and said, give us the footage and we'll put it together. You could do that in any school right now. You pick 8 kids.
It's already there. Just take it off of TikTok.
Just take it off and then give it to them and then they can put it together and it would be great.
No, literally just like sign them up and be like, you have a cell phone, go. Like your cell phone can shoot in 4K. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just go. Like perfect. That's a great
College
idea.
Life. College Life. That was a great show.
Okay, so, Casey, what is the verdict?
I don't know if I could choose one of you. I think both of you bring strong points. I think Dom has I think he's looking more at bridging Gen X to Gen Z. And I think that you have some really great specific ideas that are kind of in the middle. So I'm going to go with both. I can't really decide on one.
All right, let me emotionally and intellectually bribe you to my side with one more final and salient point. What if the M in MTV stood exclusively just for Meghan Markle, and her face was in the Moon Man? We kept the logo.
No,
we just put Meghan.
You lost.
And instead of an
you lost.
Wait, instead of an astronaut hat, we have her tilted funeral.
Although, you know what? You could bring TRL back, and you could swap out the Carson role,
mm-hmm.
and you could have like Meghan Markle do TRL for like 3 days. You could have different like stunt casting that would make people watch.
This is going to keep happening. The guests are going to have better ideas because they're going to be on here fucking around, and they're all going to be super smart and like, well, I have the actual idea, and I'm like, well, let's put Meghan Markle in a Moon Man.
She said 6 better ideas.
I have watched television more than probably normal people. That's why I don't know if other people watch as much TV as I have. Now you have to tell me which MTV shows you worked on.
I worked on Boiling Points. It was a hidden
Loved
camera
Boiling Points
show. It was just a great job. I worked there, I think, for almost 2 full years solidly without breaks. Like we just kept shooting prank after prank, and it was great and terrifying and hilarious. I mean, the basis of the show was that you would prank people, and if they waited a certain amount of time without cursing or getting pissed off, they would win $100. If they knew. Mm-hmm. We also had to keep leaving New York to shoot the show because it takes 5 seconds for a New Yorker to like, we start with fuck off and then it just goes from there. So we weren't giving money to anybody. So we would go to colleges a lot, and that was it was a lot of fun, that show.
Do you know who I just interviewed? I haven't aired it yet. Probably next week. I interviewed Frank, who was one of the 3 members of Buzzkill. Do you remember that show?
Sounds
Okay.
familiar. I don't remember it.
Let me tell you about Buzzkill was this MTV show where you had 3 guys that basically had a background in Second City from Chicago. And it was like a prank show. And it really kind of set the tone for Punk'd and all of these other prank shows. Frank looked remarkably like Isaac Mizrahi. Oh, then he told me the story. He went to like the Grammy Awards and they're backstage and he looks like Isaac Mizrahi, like I said. And Whitney Houston thought it was Isaac. So she's like, hey, thanks for the dress. And he's like, oh yeah, like totally playing it up.
Yeah.
When she found out that it wasn't him, she was so mad. But right before she found out, her team of people, like her entourage, they were like chanting his name behind stage. They were like, let's go out for drinks, Isaac. And he's signing autographs. I mean, that show was so absolutely hilarious. So funny.
You know what that just made me think of? Remember, like, was it literally called True Life? Like, I'm a Celebrity Impersonator with that woman
Yes.
that impersonated Anna Nicole Smith.
Yes,
And she would go sign.
yes.
Oh my God, like a portal has just opened up in my brain where I'm literally thinking like, oh my God, remember that woman? And she literally would like go and people would be mobbing her.
Yeah.
And she would literally just be there just signing autographs and people would be crying. They'd be like, I love you so much. Like trim spa, blah, blah, blah. And she would just be like, uh-huh. She's like, uh-huh, yeah. And
my friend George Tate's brother looks like the lead singer of Van Halen, like a dead ringer. And he would get mad at his brother because they would go to like baseball games and he would be acting like he's the lead singer, signing autographs, people crying and be like, totally faked it.
Crazy.
That is funny.
But see, but like that's what I want to see that again. I want to see like not only do I want to see Gen Zers watch Mariah Carey do her cribs where she gets in the bathtub, like
with the pink wall.
They need
and then she's on the treadmill in her heels.
Like that is what they need to watch. And then because like all these like young like influencers are like, oh, it's so funny. I'm like, no, this is funny. P.S.
Yes.
And then I want to see a like new version of like I'm a Celebrity Impersonator where it's like. Who would they even be impersonating now? Like
Harry Styles,
Lil Nas X. You know what I mean? Like,
like,
but like that's funny. Like,
I would like True Life. I'm obsessed with Harry Styles. And it would be like all of the people that are like so obsessed and how they meet up and then they go to the concert together and like who they are and what their real jobs are.
Yeah. Or like I'm a fanatic.
That's an episode.
Like I'm a fanatic and it's like all different. Like that woman, like remember at the Grammys when they literally had the like the
old woman.
round table of stalkers where they were like, why do you want to like wear this person's skin? They were like,
that was horrible, right? Except there was the one hot girl that loved Chris Martin. I was like, she's like normal? Like, how'd she get in here? But the other ones were definitely stalkers.
Meanwhile, he came out and every single person tweeted like, this looks like a person that's like just won like Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I was like, is he okay? I was like, is Chris Martin dying?
Oh my God. So true.
No, but literally like the round table of stalkers was like another level. But like those, like put them on a show. Boom. Like True Life, I'm a fanatic. Done.
House of Style. Kaya Gerber. She needs to host that.
House of Style was
so good.
I don't remember this
it spawned like a whole other, like that show alone spawned a whole style of programming, you know, like there's no cribs without House of Style.
House of Style was hosted by Cindy Crawford, and she would go and interview all of these designers, but she was going all over the world. She's like in Milan and she's behind the stage of like a fashion show, and it was just like interviewing cutting edge fashion designers. Like, could totally do a reboot of that now.
Okay, I'm seeing this now, and it's ringing a bell. However, it did come out before I was born.
What, House of Style?
I think that it just it exposed young people to like that fashion and that. I can't even imagine how many kids watch that show who were like, you know, the ADHD kids at their school who
they all grew up to be Real Housewives. It was the original aspirational programming.
How many Project Runway kids probably watched that as a kid?
Oh, for sure.
All right, so we're at a stalemate, basically, is what's happening.
I just feel like they all owe us a cut of the new rebranded. I do think it needs to be rebranded. New takes on old shows. I think that's the way they do it. I'm gonna go with Chris just because there were more specific shows.
period.
Yeah, I have no specific shows.
I feel like Dom is a little bit more like smoking a cigarette at the end of the bar while swilling like a glass of whiskey and like, you know what we should do? But like, I feel like Chris shows up to the meeting with the Excel spreadsheet. Like, I feel like shit's going to get done more because Chris came with a whole plan.
Well, that sentiment will be repeated literally every episode of this. There's simply no doubt about it. Like, I will always go for no repetition. If we already did it, I'm not doing it again. And let's just be as well. I don't want to say ridiculous because MTV's already doing that. They've cornered the market on the word ridiculous now.
I know.
And listen, I think that bringing back those shows, again, me as someone who does not care what's on MTV, I am immediately coming back to MTV to watch, or even if it's just the old episodes of True Life.
Can they buy the Osbournes? Can they buy that show back from the Osbournes?
I'm sure they'll sell it in a second. But I'm saying I would tune in just to watch old True Lives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think they should air the Osbournes too, because that was on MTV and that was groundbreaking.
Not credited as much as it is like it was the catalyst to so much.
So many reality TV shows about celebrities, for sure.
And if you watch it now, you are like, oh my God. They are just all on planet God knows what. And they're literally like, there's that meme where he's like, what's that? And it's the phone ringing and he has like no idea what it is. And
when she took the ham and threw it at the neighbors.
Yes.
They should do it, and they should do an updated version of it as well. Just can you imagine? Now everyone is sober. Her face makes Madonna's look like an infant's at this point. Like, it's insane. Ozzy says 2 words per episode, barely gets out of bed.
He like
everyone else is sober, has charity work, and hosts the red carpet.
Yeah.
Right. And Jack has like 4 kids or something.
And he has like a ghost. Yeah. He hunts ghosts.
And he hunts ghosts.
Yeah.
And then Kelly just got mad at her mom because Kelly had a baby, and then the mom said something like, oh, Kelly and the baby are doing great. Maybe she even mentioned the name. And then Kelly threw a fit in the press, like, how dare you talk about my child? I only talk about my child. It's
my God.
Yeah.
Get a life.
Could have just texted her, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Her phone must have been broken, so she called Harvey.
Don't you love whenever family members discuss, like, their main mode of communication is through the press? Like,
wait, did
Britney's
you know
raising her children on Instagram? That's the only way to talk.
That's so true. So true. I told you that Danielle from Real Housewives of New Jersey was on True Life, I'm a Staten Island Girl?
Yes.
Did you know that already?
I did not bring it up to her, but I might have mentioned it.
I mean, if you go back and watch clips of it.
No, it's great.
The outfits alone are just...
I have never heard that before, and I am blown away by this. What I have to write this that I'm gonna have to go watch.
This is the new Danielle, not Danielle Staub.
Oh my God, I really thought it was Danielle Staub.
Oh, I know. It would have been so
have I not
good.
Heard this before.
Dom, I would have not been able to hold that in for anyone.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
No, but I remember vividly whenever she did and I don't know if I've said this to her or not, but whenever she was auditioning to do like a script and she goes, I didn't walk away. You made me walk away. And I like think I can hear it in my mind. And so when I put it together while we were filming the season, I was like, oh my God. And then I can't remember if I either said to her, oh my God, I remember when you were on like Staten Island True Life or not, but like I need to now. Anyway, okay, so I win. Yay.
I can win anything.
We're tallying.
Now
we
I have to find the person that created True Life. I got to track that person down now.
Okay, what do we think is next for MTV? Like, what do we think is like? Do we think they're gonna do any of this, or do we think that they're just gonna flounder again? They're not like no one's happy about this like Drag Race thing.
They're gonna fix it. Like they're gonna have to come back.
Yeah.
Next season, and they're going to have to correct all. I mean, they're trying to correct the mistakes now, but they're really going to have to next season correct all the mistakes. We're going to send Chris's idea to the head of MTV.
So, are you going to send it to someone in particular, or is this just a call to action? Dear MTV, we've now given you these options.
I'm going to try. Yeah, I I just don't want it to end up in their mailroom. We'll send it to more than one person.
What was the show with Bam Margera?
No, Viva La Bam, my favorite show. Like my mom and I's
Okay,
favorite
well,
show.
Jackass,
growing up.
yeah, and then Viva
that's
La Bam.
Jackass. Okay, Jackass was it actually filmed in my hometown. Bam Margera, I think,
Really?
is a year younger than me. Yeah, the whole show filmed in
Viva La
Westchester, PA.
Bam. Viva La Bam about him and his family was the
His
best thing I've
father
ever seen
was
in my
really,
life.
really funny, and
And
the way
he would
that
wake
he would
them up
wake
and like
them
throw
up,
water on
that
them.
was
Like
real. That was
hilarious.
funny.
When
It
he
went
made them,
south after, but like that, those were great years.
when he made them go to Transylvania and go into that castle, like he was like, I stole your car, and if you want it back, like here's a plane ticket. Like
Oh.
iconic.
And his father was so sweet.
Yeah.
They all
And
were.
his
His whole
mom, too.
family was. My favorite
So
moment on
sweet.
that show is when his mother walks in the kitchen and there's just an alligator in the kitchen. Like a full-grown alligator.
Yes. And she just loved all those boys so much who grew up to
But that's
be
the thing
men.
is, like,
But
I would
loved them, yeah.
give anything to watch that again. Like if they just played the
Mhm.
seasons of that on a loop, I would be lining up to my couch to watch it.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
my mom and I would sit on a couch and watch that for hours, like we're
Yeah.
reminiscing about when we used to watch it together when I was a kid. All right, well, I have my first win in the books. MTV's fixed, and we're good. So,
You're welcome,
Kate,
MTV.
where can people find you, Kate?
You can listen to my show wherever you listen to podcasts, Reality Life with Kate Casey. I put out a list of what to watch each week in unscripted TV. You can get it by going to katecasey.substack.com. I give you the list. I make your life easy. Join it. And you can find me on socials, Twitter at Kate Casey, Instagram at Kate Casey CA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey.
You can find me at domandterry.com is my website, which will link you to all of my socials and dates and all sorts of other.
Everyone, you can find me at the DeRosa, and please leave a 5-star review. We love reading the comments. They're fucking hilarious. And let us know in the comments who you want to see us fix next. And also, where's Shelly? Okay, goodbye.